What is up, legends? It's Mark here, and we live, baby. What the fuck is good, man? It's good to see you. Wasn't really planning on going live today. It's 12:09 a.m. on Thursday, September 4th. But truthfully, look, I actually had something that I want to share with you guys. It's something that I didn't really ever put a name to, but something that has allowed me to scale profitably and as quickly as possible. So this is going to be a live specifically for guys that are, generating some sales. Maybe you're at 1K a day, 10K, 100K a day. Doesn't really matter. This will be something that can help you scale, because it wasn't until I really understood this concept really, really well that I was finally able to scale. So it's going to be a pretty quick one, like I said, and maybe we'll have some time for a little Q&A action at the end, but we locked in. Let's have some fun. So the concept that I want to talk about today is something that I have coined myself, called variable stacking. And variable stacking, I believe, is one of the most powerful things when it comes to scaling your ads. I like to think of the ad testing process generally within the confines of the scientific method. And if you think of the scientific method, you have a hypothesis, you have independent and dependent variables, and you have overall an outcome that you're seeking to find, right? And a lot of times what happens is you are split testing a bunch of different things at once. At any point in time, you're split testing like 10 plus variables. And over time, you're going to find these winners, right? A lot of people, they talk about winners. And if you think of a winner, you would think of a winning product, right? Or maybe like a winning creative. But there's actually a lot more variables that you can stack on top of each other to be able to scale. And generally, especially when you're running ads on these interruption-based marketing platforms like Facebook, like TikTok, like YouTube. So not PPC, not like, Google, not Google Shopping, nothing like that, but traditional like interruption marketing-based platforms. You have all these variables that you're testing, and the more that you can identify the winners of each of those variables and stack them all together, that's going to be the quote unquote like funnel that allows you to scale most profitably and most quickly. And so in this live, I wanted to go over what some of these variables are and how you can stack them up together. And I'll give specific examples as well that this has worked very, very well for me and my brands. Okay, so let's start with the most common ones first. The first kind of like winning variables that you want to stack together. And so the first ones that would come to mind would be like a creative. We're going to start with like the most basic ones, right? We have creative, we have copy, and we have funnel. Okay. So this process, I don't need to go into a whole lot of depth with, right? Because everybody knows you need to find your winning creative, you need to find your winning copy, and you need to find your winning funnel. But in the same way, like once you have that initial creative, like let's take this one initially, you have a winning creative. The question is then what, right? Typically what happens is when you do find a winning creative, what you really found most of the time, it's not just a winning creative, but you found a winning format. Okay. So let's say that you're running a particular kind of video ad, let's say that is a UGC style ad, but the overall format is in podcast format, right? Very popular kind of ad that you can run is like the podcast format. So once you have the winning creative, you basically want to extrapolate that into what the winning format is. So this is actually one of the few types of creative tests that you can run that I would consider to be a quantum leap. Because anytime that you're testing stuff, you have like these kind of micro split tests that are maybe going to provide, a little bit of increase in your overall profitability, slight increase in the ROAS perhaps, but it's not going to be something that completely changes your business and gets you from like, 10K a day to 100K a day. To get to those levels in such like massive growth, you have to execute what I call these quantum leaps. And just testing new creatives is not really a quantum leap. That's like, it's just part of the game of running paid ads. Like you just have to be testing new creatives, but testing new formats of your creatives, I think, is something that actually is a quantum leap. So something completely new, completely different that has never been done before, that would be kind of a quantum leap. And once you have that format, you can now like check that off as a variable that you can now say is proven and is validated, right? So you have a winner. So you can kind of check that one off. The next one would be the copy, right? So you go through your, typically like, I'll be honest with y'all. When it comes to video ads, copy is maybe, this is me being fucking conservative, maybe 5% of the overall success of that particular ad. If you're running video ads, we all know it, creative is king. Copy is just kind of something that's there, but it's not going to be something that like makes an ad, takes an ad from like unprofitable to profitable. It's more just like something that's there because if you're watching a video on one of these platforms, it takes up the far majority of your screen. However, if you are running images, you're running statics, the copy is actually king. It's not the creative that's king, it's the copy that's king. And so you should do a lot of testing to once again find the kind of winning format, right, of your copy. So you're going to go through all these copy tests and eventually you're going to find this one winning format that continues to win over and over again. So what do? Well, you have now a winning copy. You stack the winning copy on top of the winning creative, and that's another way you can scale. The funnel is another way, right? Let's say that you're testing a whole bunch of different types of funnels and you have an advertorial, you test a bunch of those, you have listicle, you test a bunch of those, you have just straight to the PDP, you test a bunch of those structures, you have like a traditional sales page like direct response style, you test that, and then you end up finding the winner. Let's say the winner in this case is like the listicle, right? This one continues to win over and over across a bunch of different creatives. That's your winner. So what do? Well, now you stack that winning funnel on top of the winning copy and on top of the winning creative. And what you're doing throughout this process, these are like the most basic ones. I'll get into some the more advanced ones in a second. But what you're doing is you're basically, anytime you're testing ads in general, you're throwing a bunch of shit against the wall and almost nothing is going to stick. But every time you throw shit against a wall, you typically have at least one thing that actually does stick and it does perform very well at a low scale. And so you continue to test around that one concept. Let's say it is a like a funnel, for example. Like you test the listicle and it does pretty well, and you continue to split test until you find that winning listicle format that is working for you. And once you have that, you stack your winning creative and your winning copy on top of that winning funnel. And this is what's going to be the most scalable thing for you, because what a lot of people do is they are testing creatives, they are testing copy, but they're not stacking their winners on top of the other variables that you can stack on top of to be more profitable, okay? So I said this is going to be a short one. I'm going to keep it relatively fast. So these are kind of like the basic entry-level variables that you can stack, all right? Let's talk about a few other ones. Payment processing. This is something that is not spoken about a lot, but something that can affect your overall profitability to a significant degree. In fact, the perfect example of this is I was scaling an offer, and on average, within a particular payment processor, you have this concept called your approval rate. And when you are getting purchases coming through, not everybody who tries to buy your product is actually able to, right? This is the main role of all of these mids, all of these payment processing platforms. Their job is to assess you as a merchant and have a risk profile around that, and also assess the customer and have a whole risk profile around them as well. And if you have particular customers that are paying with a higher risk profile, what that means is if you're using a pretty conservative payment processor, they're just not going to allow them to purchase, which means on average, you could have like an approval rate with some of your payment processing that is very, very high. That's like 80, 90+%. But if you split test another payment processor, it could be a little bit lower. It could be maybe 70%. I've even ran offers before that had approval rates like in the 50s, like 50%, which means out of two people, only one of them that tries to buy is actually able to buy. And so, once I kind of figured out how big of a swing this was having, I started testing various payment processors with my existing winning variables. So I took my winning creative, my winning copy, my winning funnel. I duplicated all of that across like 5 different payment processors. And what I found was that there was one that had the highest approval rate and that consistently also had a high average order value. Because another thing about payment processing is if you take a payment on the front end and you do have OTOs, you have these post-purchase upsells, what's going to happen is a lot of times if the gap between that front end product price and the upsell, that gap is too big. Like if you sell like a $1 product on the front end, then you upsell people for $300, a lot of times that second, third, fourth payment will actually be rejected. So what this means is like, this is more experimentation for you. And sometimes you even have to reach out to your payment processor and be like, look, nobody is able to buy my fucking upsell. We need to adjust like some of the settings so that we can actually get people buying the upsells. And so when I went through this process, I was essentially comparing payment processors on two different fronts. The overall one was like the approval rate, but I also wanted to see the like the average order value. Okay. And so I went through all these tests. I split tested all the different payment processors. Then I found the winner. I found the winning payment processor in terms of approval rate and in terms of average order value. And what do you do at this point? Well, you stack that winning payment processor with the winning creative, winning copy, and winning funnel that you have. All right. So there's another variable for you to stack. Let's take it a step further. What is something else that you can stack up on your ads to make them more profitable? Well, you have the entire the entire Facebook infrastructure, the business manager you're running on, the page that you're running on, the ad account that you're running on, the pixel that you're running, right? So I would segment this into two specific ones. I would segment it between the pages, and I would segment it with the ad account. Those are going to be the two variables within the Facebook ecosystem that have the greatest impact on your profitability in general. Because, I mean, if you've ran ads on Facebook for a good amount of time, you know there's just some ad accounts that are just fucking impossible to beat. And most of the time, these are not agency ad accounts. These are actually personally owned ad accounts, but they just have so much data, so much reputation with Facebook that they're really, really hard to beat in terms of performance. Like, your CPMs may be a little bit different, but overall, you'll probably have one ad account that is outperforming the others. It's like if you're managing a team, like if you're managing a sales team, for example, there's typically always going to be that one guy that is at the top. And the same is true with ad accounts. And you should kind of think of your infrastructure that way and test a bunch of them, see which one works the best. And after you find the winner, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to stack the winning ad account on top of the winning payment processor, funnel, copy, and creative. And the same thing is true with the pages, right? A lot of you guys are not split testing your pages, right? You could be running a brand page, which is just like your brand identity. You could be running a like personality based page. You could be running like a general, you think like fitness tips kind of page, like just super duper general. Or you could even be running a like whitelisted page, right? All of these are going to have different levels of performance. Every single one is going to have different levels of performance. So what that means for you is that once you find the page type that is converting best, you find the winner, what do? Well, you stack it on top of the winning ad account, the winning payment processor, funnel, copy, and creative. And what you're trying to do, again, throughout this process, I'm trying to think of a good way to kind of explain this, but you are basically, like I said, throwing all the shit in the wall, and you have like this massive net that you're casting. And time again, the game of scaling is taking all the shit that you're testing and narrowing it down to like a fucking laser so that you have the winning ad account, the winning page, the winning payment processor, the winning creative format, the winning copy, the winning ad account, the winning everything, all stacked on top of each other. So you have all of your budget actually going towards all of your most profitable assets. But again, the reason me making this video, most people either don't test these assets, period, or they're testing them away from all their other winners. So maybe they are testing payment processors or pages or ad accounts, but they're not stacking them on top of the creative, the copy, or the funnel. The whole game of scaling is taking everything that you're testing, finding all the winners, and then lining them all up and allocating the majority of your spend there. Okay? So let's take it another step further. This is another test that we ran relatively recently. And what we were doing here is we were actually split testing. What's the best way for me to put this? Websites, I'll just call it website hosts, right? So a lot of people will run all of their traffic, for example, to Shopify, right? They just got typical PDPs running traffic there. Great. And then you have the apps within Shopify. For example, maybe you want to build a page on Replo, or maybe you want to build a page on GemPages or Pagefly, right? Outside of that, you also have these external funnel platforms. Like you have ClickFunnels, you have Funnelish, you have Checkout Champ, right? You have all these different website hosts. Here's the interesting part. I have split tested this across a bunch of different platforms. And I'll explain why in a second, but I have designed identical pages, identical sales pages or advertorials or listicles, and I have tested them Again, visually identical. I've tested them on Shopify versus Replo versus ClickFunnels versus Funnelish versus Checkout Champ. And every single time there was a winner. Because the way that Facebook works, guys, is that anytime that you're running ads, Facebook has this massive database of all the people running ads. And they're basically bundling everybody into these various tranches. And some people, depending on the tranche that you're in and the overall reputation of that tranche, you will get better quality traffic, right? Shopify, for the most part, the conversion rate is almost impossible to beat. Conversion rate, not necessarily AOV or profitability, but by conversion rate, Shopify is typically the most difficult to beat. Ask anybody that has scaled across multiple platforms. If you run a Shopify checkout versus a ClickFunnels checkout, Funnelish checkout champ, Shopify wins almost every single time. I don't think I've seen a single time where Shopify has actually not won, right? So what did I do? In this particular case, in the test I'm talking about, I was running a funnel. So I wasn't testing on Shopify or Replo, but I did split test ClickFunnels versus Funnelish versus Checkout Champ. And the one that got me the best results at that time for this particular test was actually Funnelish. So what I do, I took my winning funnel, that was a listicle, and I took it from Shopify and I moved it to Funnelish, right? I stacked the variables. I took that, I put it in the top performing ad account. I made sure that the ads, the top creatives, and the copy were running on the top pages. That is another variable that is stacked on there. There have been times where I have tested some of these larger variables and it has completely transformed the performance of the ads. Completely transformed, like literally going from unprofitable to profitable. These are the quantum leaps that I'm talking about right here. And most people, when you're scaling, they simply don't test them whatsoever. And to me, that's crazy, because this is like such low hanging fruit. You could just take your existing winning funnel, build that out on another technology, on another payment processor, and it could be like 5 times as profitable. So this is the concept of variable stacking. This is what I wanted to share with you guys today. Let's see what other variables we can potentially stack, right? Because we have payment processors, we got pages, we got ad accounts, we have website hosts. Let's think of another another thing you can kind of stack. I know I talk a lot about AI agents, right? And one of the things that I like to do is identify, I have like multiple copywriting agents that I'm running, and I will pin them against each other to see who is creating the copy that has the highest win rate, right? So if you test 100 ads, how many of them are going to become winning copies, winning ad copies? And I'll split test myself versus some other people on my team versus the AI agents. And we'll find out which one actually has the highest win rate. And what do you do once you find the one that has the highest win rate? Well, you stack it with all the other winning variables once again. So this is another thing that you can do. Also on the technologies, I made a video about this it's now private, but if you want to get access to the video, just go to my Instagram and DM me the word secret sauce. But what I share in this video is basically how you can build landers completely start to finish with AI. It works best with pre-landers, so advertorials, listicles, bridge pages, any interstitial page really, and you can deploy them on a subdomain. You need 0 landing page builders whatsoever. It's all done with AI. And the cool part about these pages is that they're custom coded, which means that they're very, very fast to load. And a lot of times we will have advertorial pages that are built on one of these softwares outperform the ones that were built on Funnelish, for example. So once again, that's a new winning variable that we can now stack up. And this is not an exhaustive list. There's a lot more variables that you can stack on here. Like another one I didn't mention, if we want to get a little bit more nitty gritty, is going to be everything with like the media buying, everything. So for example, what is the winning campaign structure? Right? What is the winning campaign structure that you're running right now? Let's say you're fucking Chad and you're running CBO with bid caps. This is the winning scaling structure for you is a CBO with bid caps. Well, what is this? This is another variable that you then stack, right? So once you identify the winning variables here, the winning page, ad account, website host, landing page builder, page, payment processor, funnel, copy, creative, then you stack it with the winning media buying tactics that are working best for you. So if it is bid caps, you're going to take those, that winning creative format, the winning copy, winning funnel, winning everything, toss it in a CBO with some bid caps, and then freaking scale to the moon. But again, it's all just stacking the winning variables. But most people, like I said, they either are not testing variables, period, or they're not stacking up their winners so that they can actually scale. Media buying and scaling ads in general is a game of testing a shit ton, finding what actually works, and then stacking the winning variables all in line with each other so that when you go and test your next batch of creatives, you're not testing it on all this unproven shit. You're not testing it on like a new lander or a new payment processor. Every time you test creatives, it's with all of these variables aligned. Like for example, another variable you can stack is specifically with your testing media buying structure, right? And what I mean by that is like, what is the structure that you use to test creatives? Are you using a CBO to test creatives? Are you using ABO to test creatives? Are you using cost control, any manual bidding? Are you using cost per result to test creatives? Or cost per result goal to test creatives, right? If you were to start from scratch and just test a creative like willy-nilly, it's difficult for those creatives to fucking survive. Like you want to create an environment in which your creative testing has a high win rate. And the only way that you can do it is if you align all these winning variables together and you put these new creatives in an environment where they are most likely to succeed and be profitable. So with our testing campaign, for example, sometimes we actually won't be testing on all placements. We will instead be testing on very specific demographics. So like 35 plus as an example, right? We're testing only 35 plus and we're testing only mobile feeds. So like only Facebook and Instagram feed. Now, again, I'm not saying this is what you should do. You have to look at your own data, but the data will tell you where you should be spending. Data is telling you a story. You need to put your ear to your fucking laptop and listen, because it'll tell you. It'll tell you where you should be spending your money. Yeah, that's basically it for this this live. It was a very short one, but I just wanted to cover quickly something that was on my mind. I was invited to the HQ of this big marketing company that if I said the name, all of you would know it. And I got on stage and spoke about this. And the founder of that company was even like, dude, this is stuff that even I'm not doing right now. And like we're spending, he wasn't spending that much. He was spending like 30K a day, 20K a day. But his whole goal was like, I want to get to 100K a day. And I shared this, and then he ended up, I don't know, I didn't keep in touch with him, but I think he did end up scaling to 100K a day. Anyways, guys, let's pop in a quick Q&A. And actually, somebody said on here, this is another great variable for you to split test. It's going to be the offer, right? What is the winning offer for your brand, for your particular product, right? Stack the winning offer with all the other winning variables. Look at this question. Oi, Mark, since you own Get Hooked, won't you hide good products and ads for yourself? You greedy son of a bitch. Listen, bro. I have brands that are scaled up that I'm trying to make a stupid amount of money with. I'm not starting new brands right now. I'm not. So I'm not hiding anything on Get Hooked. We have the ads library being checked every single day, and we don't hide anything. Question from unknown. Mark, my AI integrator tried to build N8N bot, which creates copy and AI avatars every day. We search for a good scraper. Does Get Hooked have any API for that? Oh, send me a DM, dude. We might be able to set something up. We don't have public API right now, but we do set it up privately for a few people. So if you send me a DM on IG, we can talk to it. Magic Archer. Mark, is it possible to scale to 500K a month purely on image ads? Yes, 100%. I've done it before. Easy, bro. Cake. Does anyone know if the cost per result is meaningful, or should I just aim for 1.5 plus ROAS? Cost per result. If you're talking about the cost per result goal, that's a little bit different question than like your ROAS, So I always look at my cost per acquisition, my CAC. Always looking at my CAC, man. But I look at CAC in combination with ROAS. I actually think CAC is superior to ROAS, but my funnels are super duper dialed in. So I don't have to worry a lot about like AOV fluctuations throughout, which would be the other variable that would influence your ROAS. Are you keeping the video up? Yeah, I'll keep it up. Can I have $1,000? Fuck no. Just watch the videos, apply them, and make your own $1,000. You test with CBO or ABO? When I tell you I've been going back and forth, my OCD brain really likes testing with ABOs. We recently moved some of our accounts to testing with CBOs, and I don't like it. The results haven't necessarily improved. So I would probably still recommend people to start out with ABO for testing, personally. But there's definitely some interesting shit going on with Facebook right now. I mean, anybody running ads on Facebook is very clear that there's some interesting things happening right now. Definitely some larger scale changes with the algorithm and what the Andromeda update specifically is favoring within ad accounts. Generally favoring a lot more creative diversity, and definitely, yeah, same fucking shit as like the last 5 years, just like more account consolidation, Software recommendation for quiz funnel, I would use Heyflow. If you don't want to build it out yourself custom, I actually think custom is the best way to do it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend building quizzes also on like Cursor or Claude, because I have a friend that did that recently. He was like, dude, check out this quiz. And we were on a Zoom call. He's like, dude, check out this quiz. This thing is freaking printing. I was like, oh yeah, let me see. He like opens it. It doesn't fucking work. And he's like, wait, what? This is like so weird. I'm like, yeah, bro, how much have you spent on this today? He was like $3,000. I was like, bro, you just burnt fucking $3,000. Because the custom quiz is not working anymore because you vibe coded it. Come on, man. I'm not willing to sacrifice shit like that. I'd rather just fork over Heyflow can get really expensive, but I'd rather just fork it over and sleep well at night than have to worry about my quiz randomly going down. Look at this beautiful mess on here, man. God. Fucking love ads, bro. Fucking God. I love ads. Mark, I run ads. If I just run ads for one day, will the metrics from just 24 hours give me enough information? Let me know if I should kill a product or not? Typically, no. Like, even if it is one day, what if it's a bad Facebook day? Or what if it's a good Facebook day? Or what if you're only getting pity traffic from Facebook? What happens a lot of times, bro, we have this concept called pity traffic, where Facebook will push your creatives in the algorithm a little bit harder, specifically on day one, to give you like a little bit of hope, to let them take a little bit of your money. And then the next 2 days will just be like complete fucking dog shit. And that's why it's important to always zoom out and look at your creatives on larger time frames. So in general, even if you're spending a lot, like I launched funnels on minimum like $1,000 a day in spend. And with a funnel, I actually think it's okay. But also I'm testing like proven offer, proven creatives. I'm only changing one variable at a time. If you're testing something completely new from scratch on day one, I would not give it one day. I would give it at least like 2 or 3, unless the data is so fucking shit. That's like the one caveat. If your ad metrics, your soft metrics are so far outside of KPI, then I legitimately would cut it on day one. I don't care. If I'm looking at the shit, I'm like, I have $150 CPMs, $7 CPCs, and I'm running in the big four. Fuck no, I'm not running that shit anymore. Something is very wrong. ChatGPT or Nano Banana? I would still say ChatGPT as of right now, though Nano Banana can help with some touch-ups. Like a lot of the issues that ChatGPT has with text generation on the image can be fixed with Nano Banana, which is super helpful. When is it too late to launch a brand from scratch to perform in this Q4 if you want to make $2 to $3 million? $2 to $3 million this Q4. This Q4 starts in 1 month. You have time. If you start right now, you build up for the entire month of September, then 2 to 3 mil is definitely doable. Only if you know what you're doing, of course. Like if you're a complete beginner, it's not very likely. Do you notice different results from different ad accounts as far as performance? 100%. You probably popped in a little bit late, but the ad account is one of the main variables here that can lead to significantly greater performance. Like we have one ad account that just cannot be fucking beaten. It has so much data on there to the point where the ad account takes like forever to load. And agency ad accounts we split tested, didn't beat it. Other personal ad accounts split tested, didn't beat it. So yeah, it can play a big role. 100%, 100%. Where can I get your image prompts and just general ChatGPT prompts you use? I mean, I would check out my foundational docs. Chase, you can drop them in the chat. And then for the image prompt specifically, Chase, can you drop the video for AI image ad creation? I did a video on that as well. Sharing the pixel between the ad accounts. So when you're split testing ad accounts, I would keep the pixel the same. Yeah. Because if you want to test like even more balls to the wall, you could change the pixel too. But I personally am under the belief that the pixel doesn't hold the data. The pixel captures the data and sends it to the ad account. The ad account is really what quote unquote holds the data. That's why split testing pixels versus split testing ad accounts, typically split testing pixels is not going to be a super big needle mover, but split testing ad accounts oftentimes can be a very, very large needle mover. Jasup Flores, what's up, bro? What the fuck is up? Samaya, how many times do you work out a week? I've actually reduced my frequency as of recently. I'm doing a new split. I'm doing the upper lower split, and I'm doing upper lower rest, upper lower upper rest. So like the 7-day split has 3 upper days, 2 lower days, and 2 rest days. But the rest days I'm usually training like MMA or playing basketball or doing some pretty like high intensity cardio. Question from Daniel. Mark, I work as a B2B closer for an email marketing agency. Get to save $5K per month. What is a good runway money wise runway? What is a good runway money wise for me to go full autist on ads, both money and time? I mean, I'm guessing you're considering like starting a brand, in which case, how much money do you need to set aside? Minimum I recommend people is typically 4K, but the more the merrier, bro. Like with the ads, the more money that you have set aside to make it work, just the better you're going to sleep at night. I have ran ads when I didn't want to spend more than $1,000 total on paid ads, and it was so fucking stressful. Every dollar outspend that would not return me $2 back was like causing me fucking anxiety. All right, last question here. What products or niches are great to launch during Q4? So my belief on people launching specifically for Q4 is that you don't have the right mindset. You should aim to be building a brand that is generating revenue 24/7 every single month of the year for years on end. If you don't think that your market is going to be around in a few years, or that there's just going to be hype from Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Q4, and you just want to get in, do a pump and dump and get out, go for it. That's not what I teach. What I teach is building a real brand that is consistent, that isn't seasonal. I don't like seasonal brands. I want like my main brand I'm scaling right now, it's not necessarily like in the gifting niche. Like people typically wouldn't gift this product for other people. Now, will some people? Yeah, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, I want something that's consistent year round. Q4 will still be great for me because people just buy like crazy regardless, even for themselves oftentimes. And we're just growing really quickly. So in general, I wouldn't recommend you starting a brand around a specific niche just for Q4. Just build a brand, period. I don't care what time of year it is. You know, you're still going to be making a good amount of money regardless of what the niche is for the most part. Just build something long term. Build something that you would be happy running for the next 3 to 5 years. Because that's going to completely change the way that you fucking think, bro. 3 to 5 years. That's a long time. Q4, yeah, quarter four, last 3 months of the year. Is it normal to see worse performance on the actual holiday? I had good performance leading up to Labor Day, but my CPA and CVR were. Oh, for Labor Day? Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's totally normal. I mean, for Labor Day especially, um, for Labor Day especially, most people are like off. You know, they're not working. They're not on their normal flow thing. So it's super normal for that to be like a lower day on the ad side. On all the other channels though, it should be pretty good. Like your email campaign should be ripping. SMS campaign should be ripping. So yeah, guys, I said it was gonna be a short one. That's all I have for today. But to all you legends that showed up at damn near 1 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, shout out to you. All right, let's have an amazing next few days. Let's fucking scale. Let's run more fucking ads. Right? Peace.